defined the condition of many more little Mexican-American boys in Dallas. Perhaps his epitaph should read, "The fate of Santos Rodriguez is a warning to call no man blessed, because whose story is now more grievous and whose role more reversed, that of Santos Rodriguez for being a victim of circumstances, or the officer, a symbol of authority who took a young life. Today, a boy born 12 years ago, whose birth brought a symbol of a new beginning, now brings darkness. But out of this darkness, the hope here is that there will come light."
Good evening. That was a trailer to the documentary just recently produced by Dallas filmmaker Byron Hunter, son of Dr. Charles Hunter, if somebody might remember Dr. Charles Hunter in this group, one of our mentors, beautiful, beautiful human being. I'd like to retell the story of Santos Rodriguez to you. It's a Dallas tragedy. 45 years ago, in the wee hours of the morning, 2 Dallas police officers barged into a house in the neighborhood called Little Mexico, an area just north of downtown Dallas, known to us today as Uptown. They roused 2 brothers, David, aged 13, and Santos, aged 12, as they slept. They handcuffed them, put them in their squad car, and drove to the back of a gas station a few blocks away. According to the Dallas Morning News, the brothers were taken to the back of the Fina gas station in Cedar Springs for questioning. Officer Gary Kane sat in the back with David. Officer Roy Arnold was in the front with Santos. David, the older brother, you recall later, they were trying to force us to say that we robbed $8 out of a Coke machine. We told them we had nothing to do with that night. But the policeman was mostly questioning my brother. When he didn't get the answers he wanted, that is when he pulled out his gun. He opened the cylinder with me right next to him. I couldn't really tell if he was emptying it or filling it. He put the gun up to Santos's head and said, "Now you are going to tell him the truth." Patrolman Kane pulled the trigger once. Click. The next time Kane pulled the trigger of his .357 Magnum, the police car filled up with the light of gunfire as a bullet pierced Santos's skull. The 2 officers jumped out, and his trial defense lawyer said that Kane had believed his gun to be empty. An officer who was outside the patrol car testified that Kane jumped out of the car after shooting and said, my God, what have I done? I didn't mean to do it." Meanwhile, David was still sitting in the car. "You're going to be all right," he remembers telling Santos. But his brother didn't respond. The next thing I know, my feet were all wet with a warm liquid, David recalls. The New York Times reported the next day that the Dallas Police Department said the boys had refused to answer questions regarding the burglary, and Patrolman Kane had pulled his pistol and pointed it at the back of Santos's head. The police said that Patrolman Kane was leaning forward when the .357 Magnum went off. Santos was dead on arrival at Parkland Hospital. Patrolman Kane was arrested, charged with murder, arraigned and released on $5,000 bond. Chief Dyson suspended Kane indefinitely and stripped him of his credentials. He said that Kane was in shock after the shooting. Kane was convicted of murder with malice and sentenced to 5 years. He was out in 2.5. During the trial, Kane testified that Santos's last words were, "I'm telling the truth." Fingerprint evidence gathered from the scene of the vending machine absolved both David and Santos of any wrongdoing. Santos's mother, Bessie Rodriguez, God give her a long life, she's still with us. She reminisces. She says, "It seems like it happened yesterday. He was handcuffed. You know, they didn't give him a chance. He couldn't defend his life. Poor thing. He was just a kid. I have nightmares of him pleading for his life." Bessie remembers Santos telling her he'd always protect her. Memories like that give some balance to the brutality around her boy's death, she says. Four and a half decades later, the pain of the murder of Santos Rodriguez throbs and compels questions for meaning and understanding. What can we say about a city that prides itself on its towering buildings and arching bridges, but denies the ugliness in its past? There are thousands of young Santos living in our city right now in poverty and fear, and the deck is stacked against them. What dangers lurk in a city that does not accept its violence-filled past? As we retell stories that are steeped in suffering and betrayal and barbarity, we realize we lack the tools to comprehend them. So we turn to the ancient writers of Greek tragedies, Sophocles and Aeschylus, for guidance. Sophocles was mentioned by the reporter in the documentary 45 years ago. Aeschylus wrote, "In our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart until, in our own despair, against our own will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." In the 40 years it took for Dallas mayor to apologize to Bessie Rodriguez for the pain and suffering inflicted upon her and her family, the killing of unarmed boys and men of color in Dallas continued unabated. The evolution of civilization, Freud told us, is at core the struggle between the instinct of life and the instinct of destruction. When the community no longer raises objections, there is an end to the suppression of evil passions, and men perpetrate deeds of cruelty, fraud, treachery, and barbarity so incompatible with their level of civilization that one would have thought them impossible. We learn from the study of Greek tragedy that without a community willing to check the instinctual human disposition to barbarism, civilization withers. We all carry our pasts with us wherever we go, and cities are no different. We are grateful right now to City Councilman Adam Medrano, whose name was mentioned earlier. There will be a memorial for Santos at Pike Park, where he played and grew up as a child. We have suggested the following inscription to be included at the memorial. Dedicated to the life and memory of 12-year-old Santos Rodriguez, an innocent boy who was murdered on July 24, 1973, while sitting handcuffed in a police car by Dallas police officer Darrell Kane. The killing shocked the nation as Dallas erupted in riots and civil unrest. To remind present and future generations that human life and dignity are sacred, that children are to be treasured, and to never forget this Dallas tragedy. Thank you.
And you all know about this case because it's been so famous, but I use it as an example of the second victim in a police shooting. There have been, well, let me just say this. There's about 3 people a day in America killed by the police. That's about 1,000 a year. And of those 1,000 cases, there are, on average, 5 indictments and even fewer convictions. The conviction of a police officer for murder, like Roy Oliver recently, that's about as rare as an angel flying over Dallas City Hall on council day. In Dallas, we have had a flurry of indictments over the past couple of years. But let me say that Dallas is one of the most unaccountable police forces in America. I'm going to use 2 examples. One is March 10th, 2013. A young man, 25-year-old black man, unarmed, was shot to death by a white officer named Clark Scott, City of Dallas officer. His name was Clinton Allen. He was shot 5 times in the chest. He was shot 1 time in this arm as if raising. He was shot 1 time in the back at close range. The officer who did this went on paid administrative leave. He was never charged with anything. There was no indictment. There was no trial. He suffered no career setbacks, and he is on the Dallas Police Force today. The summer of 2014, the summer my grandma was killed, on June 14th of that year, Saturday, Jason Harrison's mother, he's a 38-year-old paranoid schizophrenic. He's off his meds. His mother calls 911 to get some help, taking him to Parkland like she had routinely done 18 times previously. The officers arrived, 2 officers, John Rogers and Andrew Hutchins. Shirley, his mom, walks out. He's talking crazy. Jason walks to his own front door holding the screwdriver, the kind you fix that computer with. Hey, what's happening, Jason? Hey, drop it, will you? Hey, drop it! 9 seconds later, he is shot 5 times, twice in the back. The 2 officers were back on patrol before his autopsy was even released. No charges, no indictments, no trials. And so it has been from the entire period of 1973 to 2017. Hundreds of killings. Since 2005, over 120 people have died in the custody of the Dallas Police Department, most of them shot to death. You know your Dallas County Jail? The award-winning jail that passes all that stuff? Hey, every 6 weeks someone dies in that house of death. Now if you're in custody, that means you're in care of. But this is a huge problem here locally, and there's very little accountability. That's not really what I want to talk about. You know that. If you don't know, you can find it out. You want to see Jason Harrison get killed? You go to YouTube and you search Jason Harrison killed by Dallas police. You'll see it. It's the first police homicide captured on a police body camera. Then we come to the class participation part of the thing, and I would you know? Would you see that? And Paul, would you come in? The question is not whether my friend, you're number 1. I'm number 2. Take that one. This is your character. Okay, take that one on the end. I'll take this one. The question is not whether police brutality is a human rights abuse. The question is, how do we respond in the presence of injustice? Okay? And there's many ways to categorize this, but I did it as simple as I could. Most of my ideas are like super simple. I hope they don't seem simple-minded. But a very common way to respond, I'm calling cop-out. This is the apathetic approach to injustice. This is the stoner approach. Hey, let's get drunk, let's get high, let's forget about it, let's get lost in pop culture or our own private dramas. They're going to do what they want to do anyway, okay? And this is a pretty common approach. Some people only do this approach on the weekends, but some do it all the time. The second approach would be to sell out. This is the person who recognizes that the society is shot through with injustice, that the economy is shot through with inequality, that the criminal justice system is shot through with racism. And yet, even knowing, you know, they turn off their conscience and they try to find a spot, a comfortable spot in the system. Okay, this is the person who, the mid-level person in the Trump administration. Hey, I need a tax cut, so I don't care about this, you know. Or it's a person who just, you know, this is an option. This is the option for your prosperous white person. You know, we think that everything we have comes from luck, our good looks, and our skill. And so we take a position in the hierarchy, and then we do like they did in that movie where Tommy Lee Jones would shoot the little gun and they'd say, forget that. You never saw that. And so you forget about the system as you take a part in it. The third way people traditionally lash out, respond to injustice is with violence. Sometimes it'd be like revolutionary violence, like in the French Revolution. Sometimes it's violence targeted toward the seat of power, like King George III, you know. But in contemporary America, it's usually not going that way. It's usually interpersonal violence, or it's violence like you see in extremist militias, or social violence, what we call gang violence, or just plain criminal violence. But violence is a very traditional way to respond to injustice. It's just that in contemporary America today, you know, the lights get shut off, you want to strangle the power company executive, but instead you end up punching out your neighbor because you're so mad. All of these responses actually reinforce the system that engenders them. And so you'd think they'd be pretty rare. But these are like the main way Americans respond to injustice. Most of us. Okay? And I say the best one for last because this is what we want to do. We want to lift every voice. We want to speak out against injustice. And by speak out, I mean like rise up. And by rise up, I mean like go on strike. And like go on strike, I mean mass marching. And by that, I also mean hold a vigil, even if only 20 people come. But the idea is to stay with it in a principled way to get some results. You know, you don't always get a Norma Ray moment. Union. But you have the hard work, the everyday work. And this is a great tradition of nonviolence. It's a worldwide tradition and an American tradition. And it's powerful. And there's not a government on earth really that can withstand it. This is the power that ended the British Empire. This is the power that ended apartheid in South Africa. And this is the power that ended Jim Crow segregation in this country. And this is the power that really can't be resisted. And this is your legacy. This is our legacy. You know, and it works. And you might think, oh God, Donald Trump's the president. Well, it ain't the worst thing that ever happened in this country, you know? I mean, nothing Trump's going to throw at you is worse than Frederick Douglass faced in the abolitionist movement. You know, but who won that movement? Slaveholders? You know, it's not worse than what union organizers trying to end child labor faced in the turn of the century. Of course, not totally ended. But who won that? The bosses? I mean, did you get off this weekend? And, you know, that's a win. When the suffragettes were trying to get the vote 100 years ago, it looked impossible, you know? But who won that fight? And so you can take it. You know, when gay marriage went through, there may not have even been people that were in the Madison Society or the Daughters of the Leaders that were even still alive to celebrate that victory, but they laid the groundwork for it. And so all of the people that we admire in history, the ones we know the names of, and the ones we don't know the names of, like the millions of people that march all over the world, we don't even know their names. They go in the streets to protect their human rights and ours. They made things better. And there's no reason to think that our own efforts won't make things better.
All right, here we go. We just got through completing, the human rights event here at SMU. We just wanted to go ahead and take time out because I'm hungry right now. It's time for us to eat. They got finger food over there. but that ain't what I'm about,
Right.
man. I'm not about that life, man.
I mean, so they got the finger food over there, but I'm not about that life either. And so what we're gonna do is we're having Black Restaurant Week, October 14th through the 21st. Coming up soon, we're gonna be highlighting black restaurants in the area, black chefs, black caterers, black bakers. We're gonna give them a platform to show their stuff to the city of Dallas. So what we're going to do is we're also going to have events. We're going to have a business panel. We're going to teach people in the community. If you want to start your own restaurant, we're going to teach you how. And I think our very own Ed Gray is going to moderate that panel. Mr. Ed Gray himself.
I think I will. Say, man, look here. Can I have some Wingfield's burgers? You know, I'm like, you know.
Oh, we're going to get Wingfield's. We're going to get Wingfield's.
I'll
Good
work
luck.
for burgers.
Good luck. Wingfield's, whatever burger that you want from the hood, we're going to have them on the list. So you guys get prepared. Start working out now so you can already have your bellies wide open for this week because it's going to be a lot of good food.
A lot of good food. Say, now, some of the other restaurants, can you drop some names?
I'm still working on that list. The list is going to drop next week. So once we have the list, I'm going to send it to Ed. Ed's going to blast it. You going to blast it, Ed?
I blast it. But you know what? That's why we wanted you to listen in and look at this video. We want you to go ahead and drop the names right there. Look, right there.
There you go.
I'm going to point it again. Right there.
Right there.
Right
Hey,
there.
drop the names of the restaurants that you want on there as well. Because there's a lot of black restaurants we don't know about. So if you got a favorite black restaurant that you think should be supported by this week, drop it in the comment section. We'll reach out and make sure they're on the list.
Hey, good morning. This is Ed Gray. Hey, I'm on my way to work, and I just wanted to go ahead and give you a reflection of what happened in Tulsa. Tulsa, Dallas, Charlotte. It's not one bit of a difference. But one thing is the same as, well, how some people are being perceived. This is reflections from one bad dude. That be me. You know, I live in a country in which, the first thing people tell me to do is not judge people by their color or their skin, but yet they judge me by my color and my skin. Like, I don't live in a colorblind society. See, when I looked in this Facebook Live camera, I saw what everyone else sees, a big black man. And some people are afraid of big black men. They got a word for them. No, not that word. They got a phrase for them. It's called one bad dude. Yeah, I'm a bad dude. You know, I remember when I was young, I was like 18, 19 years old. I was on my way to work. I made it to work, got to a building that I was supposed to be in, had a badge. The badge said where I was supposed to be at. And when the badge indicated that I was supposed to be inside the building, that means it gives me a right to be inside the building. Well, when I came out of the building, guess who should be there? The police. They were there with a gun. And they held a gun right to my head, right to the temple of my head. And they began to question me. And I told them I belonged in the building. Well, they questioned me because I was one bad dude. So after I proved to them that I was, had a right to be there, they let me go. I'm not supposed to feel bad about that because they were doing their job. Any kind of accident could have happened. But nevertheless, I live to tell that story. I live to tell that story probably until the next month or so, when I was walking into another building. I walked into another building, I came out of that building, and when I came out of that building, a policeman was rolling past me. He made a U-turn. You know the U-turn that you see a lot of times? That you say, oh my goodness, I hope he ain't coming for me. Well, that time, he came for me. Told me to drop whatever I had. I was inside the building, came outside of the building to go to my company car, and I dropped what I had. Then he told me to spread eagle. Well, you know the reason why. It wasn't because I was black. It was because I was one bad dude. So after I proved to him that I did have a right again to be inside the building and that I did have a right to walk outside to the building to get to my car, he allowed me to go. All things being said, he said he had a right to do that because, well, he was protecting the property and he had the burglar law. There was no burglar law. I was the one in control of it. That's what happens when you're one bad dude. So, shortly after that, let's go give it a couple years later. I'm a little older now. I go to this place called Mineral Wells, Texas. One way in, one way out. So I pass the same policeman every day, every night. I flick my lights and let him know who I am, and he flicks his lights and let me know that he saw him, and, you know, we have a cup of coffee at the 7-Eleven and everything, and he tells me, hey, have a nice day, and everything's okay. Well, on this day, after the Los Angeles riots and the Rodney King incident, all the policemen were uptight. Well, you see, Rodney King looked like, yep, that's the word again, one bad dude. So therefore, all of America was on edge because when they saw people like me, well, you know what it is. I guess you have a right to stop and frisk, even though that phrase wasn't out yet. Well, I went inside this building, came outside of the building, got ready to go in my car again. You know the story. So I got ready to go in the car again, but this time they had the guns drawn out already. 6 of them. 3 squad cars. 6 of them. And the reason why they had the guns pulled out was because, well, across the parking lot, someone had eyeballed me. And I made the mistake of looking back at them, and they made the mistake. Well, they didn't make a mistake. They saw me, and they said, that looks like one bad dude in the parking lot. I need to call the police. So the police came, and they asked me what was I doing inside the building. I told them. I told them the story I just told you. I see you guys every day. I like the police. I like you guys. Why you wave to me every day? He said there was a report that there was someone in the parking lot that was stealing. And they had to investigate it. And they demanded that I drop what I was doing, and I wasn't supposed to ask them questions because, why should I ask them questions? Because they are the law. And I'm not. I'm just, well, there you go. One bad dude. So I immediately dropped what I had in my hand. Thousands of dollars of equipment shattered. Just like the dreams and hopes of many Americans, black Americans in this country are shattered by these police stops and by this killing of police officers, by police officers. It's shattered. It's shattered because, well, I'm one bad dude. So after having a conversation with the police department, all 6 of them of the Memorial West Police Department, they probably had about 12 people on the force that night, but 6 of them were there for me. I felt kind of welcome about that. Well, we reached an agreement. I would be able to leave my place of employment with my life, and they would be able to share a joke that they stopped one bad dude. Wish me luck. I'm on my way to work.